On today, so Jackson State has another female drum major, and I just want to talk about it real quick. Why? Because I'm a J5 fan. I just kind of am. Anyway, and I also want to talk about band culture and the way band culture may be affecting HBCU music programs. Also, what about your predictions for this year? What do you think is going to happen on the upcoming year? Who's going to make the top band? All this and more coming up next on Luke's Band Report. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passionate Network. I'm also the host of Talk That Talk. You can pick up any of our merchandise at www.realtalkthattalk.com. All right, before we jump into it, I have some really unfortunate news. So if you guys remember the episode of Talk That Talk where we did the Greek episode, and we had the brother Jafar on there, who was one of my Masonic brothers and also a member of Mega Sci-Fi. Unfortunately, he recently passed away. And so we at the Passionate Network, here at Talk That Talk, Luke's Band Report, Diary of Lady Band Director, all of us want to send our condolences not only to just him, but his family, his friends, his brothers, his frat brothers, and so on and so forth. So rest in peace to Brother Jafar Millage. We do appreciate all of the things that you have done throughout your career, and this is a major loss to not only the education world, but also to the brothers of Omega Sci-Fi, as well as the brothers of the Masonic order. So rest in peace to you. As we move forward, though, let's go ahead and get into today's topics. Usually I write stuff down because I have notes that I actually want to talk about. But this one, I'm really going to go off the cuff. Why? I don't know. I just kind of feel like it today. I don't know. But we're going to go for it anyway. JSU, Jackson State, has their fourth female J5 member. And I'm going to be honest, I am very, very excited about it. I just am. I am excited about it. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's been a while since we've seen a female member of J5. And again, I'm a J5 fan. But the thing about it for me is I remember we had that one young lady, I think it was back in 2011, I believe. And she was there for like half a year, and then she just kind of disappeared out of nowhere. And then I know that there was another young lady, if y'all remember when J5 did that Making a Drum Major episode or something like that on like one of those shows, and the young lady who had a mother who was a previous drum major, not necessarily at Jackson State, but a drum major somewhere, on the show, she made J5, she made the line, but then that same year we didn't see her perform, or actually we didn't see her at all, and I think we saw Tyreek instead. And so, you know, it's kind of been this really interesting thing to see this thing go back and forth, you know, with female drum majors, and so I'm really excited to see the fourth female drum major, one of my favorite ones. I've met her one time, but I don't remember her name. But she was the head drum major, I think it was in 2003. Cold. And that was just a really good line that year too. But nevertheless, man, I want to actually say this one thing though. It's very generally when you have a female drum major, and especially when you have a drum major line this big, the eyes are going to be on you. You know, the other four guys, they're going to be the norm. They're going to be looked at as normal, you know, as far as, hey, they did this last year, or they look no. But when you're the female on the line, it's going to be, oh, her legs are not high enough. Oh, she's not doing funky three strong enough. Like you're going to be scrutinized. It's almost kind of like when Marvin, you know, he's the first Hispanic, you know, head drum major, and you know, people were looking at him. And so I wish the best for this young lady, Miss Ariel Woods. I really do. I think that she's going to be great. I actually look forward to seeing what the line is going to do this upcoming year. I thought J5 line was dope this year. I thought they were pretty good. I thought the energy that they brought was great. So again, J5 fan here. I had to talk about that because that was on my mind, and I was like, yo, this is great. Let's talk about this for a quick second. But again, shout out to you. I can't wait to see what the line brings this year. And let's see. Let's wait on it. Also, in other news, before we get to the next topic, a day in Sparta happened. I am obviously a member of the Spartan Legion. And so with that being said, a day in Sparta happened, and I thought it was great. I think it was 450, 500 plus members. Being able to see that many kids wanting to participate just for a day in any marching band program, specifically HBCUs, I think is a beautiful thing. And Norfolk wasn't the only one who recently had one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was something that happened in Florida as well, where it was like a whole bunch of high school students who came together. I can't remember who exactly did it, but I actually congratulate all programs who are doing things like that, bringing students together with the availability to not only just recruit, but also show the growth and the love for the marching band, specifically the traditional style culture. And so I applaud it. I watched the show. Big shout out to our brother Justin, who actually was out there filming that. So if you did not see it yet, A Day in Sparta, it is definitely up on the YouTube space. And so I'm gonna put that plug out. Go check it out, and go check out all these things. Also, and I'm gonna put it up on the Instagram page as well. Someone sent me, I think it was TSU's wind ensemble performance, Texas Southern University's wind ensemble performance. So shout out to you all as well. I'm really glad to see the wind ensembles and things like that actually going off. So absolutely. So I'm going to make sure I put that up on the Passionates Network page, as well as the Talk That Talk page, because it needs to be talked about. But let's go ahead and move forward to the next thing, which is a conversation again that I've had recently with two other people, and I want to get you guys' opinions on that. So first of all, I want to ask you guys, go ahead and comment on your thoughts about the drum major, the female drum major. What are your thoughts? Do you think she's going to be great? Do you think that this is a great thing moving forward? But let me hear your thoughts on what I'm about to talk about. So the truth of the matter is, I think that we have entered an era where band head culture has, for us specifically, HBCU band programs, programs of color, I'll put it that way, have kind of reigned supreme, thanks to, the videographers and the mass social media push, the push from different media outlets. And we've had this conversation a lot on Talk That Talk before, as far as how I felt in a lot of ways that they are using HBCUs to be able to say, hey, let's bring these people in. Let's build this narrative. All right, you guys go home. Thank you for your service, right? But now I'm seeing, and I've kind of been seeing this for a long time, and we've hinted at it on multiple occasions. But I have a question for you guys. How many, and I just had this conversation with someone last night, how many band programs, HBCU university band programs, do you all know of that have full band staffs? And when I mean full band staffs, I mean of record, not adjunct teachers, not someone hired as staff. I mean credentials, hired, teaching classes in those programs or in those universities. And the reason why I asked that question is because, and this is my perception, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, I think there is a push right now to not fully fund HBCU band programs in the way that they should. I'm gonna dive a little deeper, and we may transfer this conversation over to Talk That Talk, but I'm gonna dive a little deeper. What I mean by that is, there was a point, and maybe I can be wrong, but there was a point where HBCU band programs had a staff, 3, 4, 5 people, so on and so forth. They were funded for their staff, so on and so forth. Those staff members were teacher of records, educators, teaching classes, so on and so forth. But it seems to me as though as we're starting to move forward in the push for band head culture, that we're also now depleting our staffs. And we're showing administrators, that we can still pull off great products with little amounts of work, or not little amounts of work, but little manpower. So I feel like a lot of HBCUs are not hiring directors to be full-time educators or full-time professors. They're hiring staff members to just work with a marching band. Well, and I think that that's happening because the idea now is, well, as long as we got a band on the field and we getting the YouTube clicks and you guys are bringing the energy into the program and you can do it, you've shown me that you can do it without having multiple people on staff, then why do we need to invest in this, right? My problem with that is, and I've said this on multiple occasions too, what happens to the music educator students? That is always, as an educator, that is always going to be my argument, right? Math majors are going to have math educators. Science majors are going to have science educators, so on and so forth. But our programs, our HBCUs, how many of them are really being truly funded from a music education standpoint? And so this is where I'm kind of going with this. How many programs are truly being staffed, where you have a adequate staff of music educators teaching marching band, and then you have a full music education program with credentialed educators on staff at HBCUs, where the focus is not specifically on marching band, but the focus is on educating the student, and the teachers and the professors that are there are full-time professors. How many HBCUs are there like that? And I'm asking that question because maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. I can count. I think last night, I counted about 7, maybe 7 or 8. I think, and somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I counted around 7 or 8. But I think that's a major issue. It's a major issue because I think now what's happening too is there are people, and this is no slight to anybody else, but I think there are educators out there who are not fully equipped to be in the space of teaching in university level ensembles. And what I mean by that is there are some people out there with undergraduate degrees who are teaching, ensembles. Now, when I was coming up, I was told I had to have a master's. Fair. That's all I'm saying. Because those educators don't transfer into the classroom and are able to continue to educate those students. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying they're not good enough. But what I'm saying is, and this kind of goes back to the certification conversation, there are people who can teach very well that don't have certifications. There are people who can teach who don't have master's degrees. Fair. But the standard should be to have your master's degree so you can become a teacher of record, so that you can become a classroom educator as well. And so I think that, and this is just my opinion, I think that what's happening is that the requirement for that, when we're talking about admin for HBCU band programs and HBCU music programs, is slowly dying. And what about the music education student? How is that affecting them? Are they being equipped the way that they need to be equipped to be to be prepared to walk out. And again, as I've always said, compete with the counterparts, compete for jobs. That is the question. Are they being prepared? And so as we start looking at this, again, I am not against this, and I always have to put this disclaimer right here. I am not against band head culture. I am not against the traditional style marching band. I'm not against any of that. But I've always said, what can we do to ensure that we can still have our quote unquote cake and eat it too? What can we do to make sure that though this is the thing that we do, this isn't the focal point of who we are? And so that's going to be an ongoing question. So you guys tell me, what do you guys think? Do you think I'm off? Do you think, I could be completely off. But if I am, hey, let me know in the comment section. We can talk about it because I always read you guys' comments. All right. Finally, predictions, man. The school year is slowly coming to an end. I know here in the state of Texas, secondary schools have about 4 to 5 weeks, I think. Generally, secondary schools get out later than most universities. Summer's going to be coming, mass band, blah, 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 blah. I ain't having a mass band conversation today, but there will be one coming up soon. But for the year of HBCU bands, what are your predictions? Who do you guys think will be the top dogs? Who will be the new kids on the block? Who will slide in, to rise to some new levels? I'm gonna be honest. I think Jackson State set a bar this year that has to be topped, and as long as they just even maintain what they did this past year, I don't foresee them falling from where they are. Now, here's been the caveat of everything that I've been saying this year, specifically when it comes to Southern. A lot of people are saying Southern fell off. Here's my thing. I don't think Southern fell off at all. I think Southern has been Southern the whole time. I will continuously say this. I believe that people figured out the formula and just perfected it. That's it. I don't think Southern is less Southern than Southern has always been. I think that people have just again found what they did that worked for them, and they have now said, okay, we will take that, add our little seasoning or our flavor to it, and now this is the product that you've gotten. So I still think that Southern is Southern. I still think that the battle between Southern and Jackson is very real. Who's going to be the top place? I don't know. I think that if Jackson maintains where they are, they will continue to be there. Now, I will be honest, when it comes to SWAC, I'm talking about the SWAC for this particular time. I think, because I just heard some clips from PV, and this is not me being biased. If PV stays in the trajectory that they are from what I just heard from them, obviously they're going to get incoming recruitment, so on and so forth. If they stay in that lane, I think that they're going to be in that same category. I think they are. When we talk about the SWAC. And we got to talk about the underdogs, right? The sleeper programs, the ones that you may not be so focused on or looking for more. I think Florida Memorial is going to do some great things this year. I think because of the things that they have accomplished from this year, I think it brought more notoriety to their program, and which will allow more growth for incoming freshmen. And so I foresee them getting a little bit bigger. I don't think that they're going to be like massively huge, but I do think that they'll grab numbers. I think that a lot of people are looking at Norfolk now because I think in the past years they've been more visible this year than they've had in previous years. You know, typically, you know, we'll get out there, we'll do some flashes of stuff, and then we'll just go back into hiding into our own space. But I think this day in Sparta, I think the fact that people are, I think their performance with Tennessee State, I think the Rose Bowl performance, like all of these different things, PASIC, I think all these different things have culminated into people having more eyes on them. And so I think, you know, as the hardest thing with anybody right now, specifically in the MEAC, whoever's left in the MEAC besides Norfolk, is getting exposure. I think that's the hardest and most difficult thing right now, because you're not playing the programs or the top programs that people are kind of vying for, or vying to see. But I think Norfolk is still going to be Norfolk, but I think that people are going to start recognizing a little bit more. Alabama A&M, I think they're slowly kind of creeping up on folks. So I can't wait to see what they have this year. I think that this year was a really good year for them, and it felt like a growth year. I could be wrong, but it felt kind of like Alabama A&M kind of went through like one of those random growth spurts where it was just like, hey man, they got some good stuff over there. Whereas like previously, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, that's Alabama A&M. Like this year, it kind of felt like, all right, we see you. We see you. Alabama State, I think Alabama State's going to be Alabama State. I don't really think that they're going to do anything that's going to be that surprising to me, but we'll see. But I think it's going to be a very good year. I think Jackson State kind of took that mantle, and I think they're going to hold on to it. You got to do a lot to get to that level. So we'll see what that battle looks like. But you guys tell me your thoughts on what you feel about this upcoming year and your predictions for the future and who's going to be the top dog. We ain't talking about mass band. No, we're not talking about mass band. We're only talking about HBCUs. But anyway, we're going to get to some of your past comments from earlier episodes. All right, so all of these comments come from the conversation I had about Honda in California. The first one says Honda has an annual revenue. Oh, this is from John 8705. Honda has an annual revenue of $120 billion. This donation won't even cost $4 million to host all the bands for a weekend. That includes chartering planes, buses, hotels, and food. They may even toss in a trip to Universal. Them folks aren't worried about gas, bro. So I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I never felt like they could not afford it. My argument was for the fact of, are they willing to? That's the first thing. And then, are they going to truly pay the programs? Listen, I need for everyone to understand this. I appreciate exposure that HBCU Bands program gets. What I don't appreciate is that people bring programs in to further their cause and don't give the programs what they earn and deserve financially. You're moving a program of, 200-300 bodies. Well, I ain't most programs ain't 300 or close, but you're moving that many people. Great. I'm so glad that you're moving that many people to further your cause. But those same people have to go back and then figure out, all right, how do we get to this next program? How do we make sure that these scholarships are taken care of? How do we do X, Y, and Z? But we just did this performance over here that someone else paid for us to get there, but they sent us home with nothing but a chicken box. That is my argument. So, I don't think that Honda can't pay for it. My thing is, great, pay for it, cool. What do they get on the back end? That's where I am. All right. This one is from MD Wilson 5849. I live in the Seattle area, so it would be nice not to travel 3,000 miles. I go to Greatest Homecoming on Earth and one of the North Carolina A&T games each year. I could use a closer trip. I did have a few conversations with people about that. And the level and the number of people in California who either are from HBCUs or want to see HBCUs. So I think that is the argument. Yeah, I think it would be packed for people. Now that I've had that conversation, I think it would be an interesting thing to have it there because those people who are in California don't really see that too often. And so it probably would be a huge draw for the people of California. I think my argument was more or less for the people traveling, from the South to California. I think that was more or less, but no, I think you have a good point. I think there are people in California who want to see it, who haven't had that up close experience, and have the availability to see it. This one comes from Brother Warren Shaw, 4205. It said, it's a lot on my mind in regards to smaller bands of recruitment and marketing are concerned. I'll be brief because I could be here all night. When it comes to visibility, the SWAC for the most part has everything on lock. Just about everything. Everyone in the SWAC has a dedicated media and marketing team just for the band. And they could continue to push out content, which keeps the consumer, the student, engaged. Most of the time, and speaking for me in particular, we are the staff, the media team, and the marketing department. We have to tap into our student resources that are in those particular majors, mass comm, mass media, and train them up on what you want presented to the masses. We appreciate every independent media team, but in order to thrive, you need your own team. But I absolutely agree. And I'm gonna be honest, it's only a few programs really that have their own team. I know obviously Southern, I know Jackson, I know PV. I think Grambling has one. I think FAM has one. I think that's it. Like hardworking media team, something is being pushed almost every week kind of team. I'm not saying there aren't other teams out there, but I know that some teams are more pushing more than other teams. But no, I absolutely agree with you. And I kind of think that it plays into the conversation I was having earlier about the staff and being staffed and admin not really pushing forward into truly supporting the music educator programs or the HBCU band program. So I absolutely agree. I don't know. How do we solve that, though? I think is the question. Last one from Justin Jackson, 3623. I have been trying to get to Honda to have the Battle of the Bands in LA for a while. I had to show them the numbers and response from the Rose Bowl parade a few years back, and LA has been craving for the HBCU band experience. They have hosted the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge in Torrance, California for years, and we have talked to the local HBCU community out there. Laugh out loud, there is not one. This is a big recruitment opportunity for the culture and also has a way of getting the proper eyes off the DCI movement and onto the HBCU band culture music. Stop doing the same yeah, I think that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. I think there is a push for wanting to have something different out in California. I don't think that's going to slow down the DCI movement at all. Because that is years and years of, stake in that culture. And I think you can have both, but I think it's awesome. Like I said, having that conversation that I did, I think it's very awesome to try to have something out there that is the HBCU band experience for people who haven't seen it. I think I do believe that it would be cool to have, again, that's a lot of programs out there because, it's kind of basically what I said, right? Like you said you have the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge in Torrance, which is cool. But again, you're going to have to bring your top bands. You're going to have to bring Jackson. You're going to have to bring Southern. You're going to have to bring FAM. You're going to have to bring, I'd throw Prairie View out there. You're going to have to bring Texas Southern. And not one of these bands have I named is under 100 people. And so, again, that just begs the question, what are you giving them on the back end? You're getting great entertainment for California. You're getting great revenue for Honda, right? People are getting the HBCU band experience. I think that's great. I don't think that's a problem. I think the problem is you pay for them to come out, you pay for the expenses, so on and so forth, What are you sending them back with is going to continue to be the question. And I'm going to continue to ask for that question because as a band director and someone who's been on that side, I know what that looks like when we have a stellar performance. Great job, guys. But then the chicken box, here comes the chicken box. or the sack lunch or the sandwich, or you know, where they give you the pack of the mayo or the pack of the mustard and you know, and the cookie, or you have your little banquet where you know frat can go in and throw K's and all that kind of stuff, and then you go home and then you like, God, we got to go to this next performance, or we just spent, you know, or we just went to. And we don't have anything to show for it, but this $20,000 that we'll maybe get a meal out of that, you know. So I think that's really kind of where my biggest thing. And then the other thing is, my biggest thing is also traveling for those people who, you know, want to see it. You know, I think that's just the interesting thing about it. You know, you have multiple people from the South, because again, if you have all these big names, you're going to have a lot of people trying to see it. And so traveling from the South, going to, you know, California, that's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of carpooling going to be happening. That's all I'm going to say. Man, with that being said, I want you guys to give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. What you think? What do you guys think about Jackson State's drum major, new female drum major? What do you thought? Do you think she's going to be good? I mean, obviously she was picked for J5, so obviously she's going to be good. So, but what are your thoughts? You guys give me your thoughts inside of the comments. Also, what are your thoughts on the bandhead culture and the possibility of it changing music education at HBCUs? What's your thoughts on that? Also, your predictions for this year. I want to hear them all. I read every single one of them. So go ahead and put your comments inside of the video and I'll get back to them. Man, you guys keep it locked here on the Passionate Network. I appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next week.